In this class, we are going to talk about mining. What do you need in order to mine? So in order to mine, you're going to need a miner like this. You can mine in the cloud, or maybe at your house, in your office, or some other place like that. So basically, you're going to need three things. So in order to mine, you're going to need a miner, of course, something like this. You're going to need power. You're going to need internet and air conditioning. So basically, if you have the miners, you're going to need these three things, like I said: power, internet, air conditioning. So if the only option is if you don't, that you're not going to need air conditioning if you live in the North Pole or in the South Pole, in some place where it's cold 24/7 all year, 365. Okay, I understand. Maybe that is not your case. Otherwise, you're going to need AC. Otherwise, the computers, they're going to fry. So the power. So what about the power? So in order to have these units running, you're going to have electricity. So you're going to say, yes, I understand. That is okay. That I understand that. The problem is, if you have one of these at your house, that is not a big problem. If you have two, maybe it's okay. If you have three, is when you start having some issues. The thing is, these units, they pull a lot of power. So you're going to need, these units, they consume like 1500, 2000 watts, 3000 watts. The biggest units, you're going to see maybe 4000 watts. And if you have, maybe, for instance, this is an old equipment, this is an S9, you're going to see older equipment like S7, or maybe equipment like that. Yes, okay, understand. Maybe 1500 watts. Maybe you can use it in a regular outlet. But the problem is, when you start having a lot of these, you're going to need a lot of power in order to make them work. So if you live in first world countries like US or Canada or UK or Australia, okay, hopefully you're going to have enough power, or you're going to have a good provider. So your connection is going to be stable, except if you live in a third world country called California. So I know if you live in California, they have a lot of problems. They have fires, they have earthquakes, and they have a lot of outages. So in order to have a mining that is going to be able to work 24/7, 365, you need power 24/7 always, and it has to be reliable. You cannot have hiccups or anything like that. Otherwise, like I said before, if you're in one of these places, things are not going to be good. Maybe you lose the power for 1 hour, 2 hours, 2-3 days, a week, who knows. So that is the main thing. And some people are saying, well, what happens if I go to mine to China or maybe Venezuela or some place where the electricity is very cheap, and it's cheap, you get what you pay for. So for instance, I have customers in Venezuela, and it's a disaster. They're having outages all the time. They have a lot of problems with the politicians, and that is the main thing. You need a stable connection to make this work, otherwise it will not work. So that is why power is very important. Also, you need to have a good service. So for instance, if you have a regular, an old house, maybe for instance here in US is 100 amps, and if you have a newer house, it will be 200 amps. If you have 200 amps, okay, maybe you can run. It depends of the amount of equipment that you have, also the power that each one of these units pull. Maybe you can get 20 max, 30 maybe, and then you have to start unplugging your TV, your dishwasher, everything, so that way you can power these units, because everything is going to be very tight. You're going to have a big problem. So I'm saying this so that way you know in advance. Like I said, if you want to have your feet wet, okay, maybe 1 unit, 2 units, it will be good. But when you go above that, that is going to be a problem. Also, if it depends where you are. For instance, I'm here in Ohio, and in winter time is almost a win-win situation, because you know it's very cold. You have snow, not every day, and this, I mean, you can open the window and you're going to have a lot of cold air coming all the time. But in summertime here is very hot, and these units, they're not going to be able to work when you have so much hot temperature in your environment. These units, they need to be working 20 or 15. I recommend 15 degrees or below, because with 15, and if you have a good air condition, or maybe the temperature, you live in the North Pole and you have a lot of units running all the time, and you have 15 Celsius, okay, you're going to be kind of good. Otherwise, this unit will start failing and they will stop working. So that easy. These machines, they have a sensor. When they reach certain temperature, they will stop working. And another units, I tried different brands. With another units, they will, I mean, they will hash less. So, and you don't want that to happen, because let's say you buy a very powerful miner, let's say 200 terahashes, and then it start overheating. Instead of working on 200 terahashes, you're going to have maybe 150 or 100 terahashes or 50 hashes. So yeah, that is the main thing with these units. And the other thing is you have to have internet, and I say, okay, that easy. Okay, like I said, you have 3 options. You have a cable modem or DSL. You have 3G, 4G, 6G, 7G, who knows, and you have fiber. So I recommend with this type of unit, if you can get a fiber. I know if you're going to start maybe with 5, 6 units, maybe you can try a cable modem or DSL, but if the connection is not good, that again, if you are in Venezuela or China or any other place like that, where you know they're having some problem. For instance, Venezuela, it will be number 1. China, I don't know. I never been there. I don't have customers in China, but in Venezuela, yes, I do. And they are having problems all the time with internet. They have outages every day. They have outages with the power every day, because they are, you know, distributing power or internet. In some places is more power. Is okay, today this neighborhood is going to have power, you know, from 6 to 9, and then because we don't have enough power to provide to everyone, and then we're going to distribute it to the other one, and then you know it's by turns, and you don't want to be in those situations. So that is why with the internet is the same thing. You're going to have internet that is very bad, and even if you have DSL or cable modem, I don't know if fiber in Venezuela how it works, but if you have, you know, if you are in those environments or those countries where they don't have maintenance, or the maintenance is the bare minimum just to make it work, kind of so the way people will pay something. So that will be a very bad situation. So that is what I'm saying. Fiber, with fiber you have SLA. SLA is a top-notch service, and with that you should have like 99% uptime or something like that. With cable modem, DSL, because those are not commercial connections, and if they're not commercial, you know, you get whatever you get. And if there is an interruption or you start having a latency or anything like that, even in US, I'm here in Ohio, and I have a fiber, because well, I'm not mining, at least not in this at this time, because the electricity here is so high, it's so expensive, but that doesn't make any sense. I used to mine in a few years ago where I had this machine running all the time, and that wasn't a problem. So in this case, if you have like I said, if you have internet, and is even here in US, sometimes I have, for instance, I am in Ohio, and here I have cable modem, and cable modem, the connections fluctuates. I mean, it's pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I mean, you can get two providers. Maybe you can get a Spectrum, and maybe you can have a Cincinnati Bell, and you can have one of these cable modems, or one and you can have one of these routers that will balance the connection with failover. So if one fails, the other will keep going. That will be one option. Otherwise, if you're in a zone where you have fiber, for instance, in this case, in this area where I am, it seems like there is no fiber, at least no for now. So I can get whatever I can get. Maybe that is your option. But if you're going to start planning and creating a mining facility, I would recommend you to look for those type of things. First of all, internet power. That will be the main thing. If you're in a very warm area, maybe you can start buying a lot of air conditions, and I'll tell you in another video how you can do in order to be efficient with the AC, so that way you can keep a lot of these units working at the same time and you're not going to have any problem. So that is my topic for today, and I'm going to teach you and see you in the next class.